Over the last 50 years, Mississauga has grown from a population of 100,000 to over 800,000 residents, comprising of cultures from around the world. With funding from the Ontario Trillium Foundation, Heritage Mississauga has embarked on a project to interview the diverse community to share their stories of immigration and to find ways to commemorate their heritage. Here are just a few of their stories.
There's the top three reasons why we left Sri Lanka. The first one, of course, was the Civil War, because we were Tamils, we were the minority living in the country, and we were oppressed, and we were going through a lot of discrimination, racism, and my father could not live there anymore because he was Tamil and we were Tamil, and he thought the best idea was to move to another country. So we had three choices. We had India, South Africa, or Canada, but Canada won because better economic prosperity, and then of course my dad's whole family was here, so, and then the whole prospect of the family reunification was there as well. Yeah, it was during the time of the riots in 1983 when my house was being bombed. We knew that the bombs were coming, so we quickly ran into, it was not really a forest, it was just like, we had a huge backyard in Sri Lanka at my house, but then we had like a kind of like a wooded area too, so we hid in that part of the house. So yeah, I was 5, and at first of all, I thought nothing of it. I didn't know what was really happening until like my mom actually told me what happened and what we went through. So it was as a child you don't know these things, but then when you realize you went through war and trauma, and you came to another place for safety, and that's why you were brought here, and that's why you were on the boat for, I think it was close to a month from sea to sea, from going from Colombo to Jaffna, and why the people were leaving Colombo because it was not safe for them.
Okay, why I left Egypt. First of all, I would say there's, of course, some compelling reasons for any immigrant to leave his root country, because the country we grow in, we have roots in there. Uplifting your roots and go to somewhere else and try to inject some fertilizers to grow roots, not an easy way. And the people who are in gardening know how difficult it is. So people are the same. To leave your origin or your home, it's difficult. And yes, as a minority Christian in a country, majority of it is not the same group or the same religion, it is difficult. You face challenges every day. You face limitation, restrictions. Maybe in my case, wasn't all the way to life-threatening thing, but it was career limitation. It was always discrimination of some sort. And I have few cases, like I faced the 3 hits. The last one was so big for me that I decided that that's it. I'm out of here.
Well, my parents got married, had me, and then thought maybe we should make that switch because around that time, late 90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of opportunities for immigration to Canada, and the field that my dad, he's an engineer. And so Canada was looking for skilled workers, doctors, engineers to come here and contribute their skills to this country. And so I guess it gave my parents the incentive that, there will be a safe future for our kids in this country and better opportunities for them. And so I took a flight and here we are.
Yeah, so I came to Canada. I settled in Mississauga in 1993. We came from Poland. The main reason why we came to Mississauga specifically because it had a larger population of Polish people, and also it was just a better life in Mississauga or in Canada than in Poland. So yeah, we settled in the Applewood area. That's mostly where we lived. And yeah, and then we just since then I came here when I was 3.5, and then it just kind of happened from there.
Mississauga is a diverse and cultural city, and I think the mainstream people of the city need to know who their neighbors are and where in the world their friends and colleagues and their students and teachers, whoever they interact with on a daily basis, came from, and to know about their cultural and be aware of what is each culture about, and that then they are more knowledgeable on how to treat one another and be equal with each other, and it forms of like a, how do I put it, like a multicultural spectrum on living in a diverse society. Commemoration is very important to show the next generation of where their forefathers came from. So I want to show this to my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, if I live that long. So it's very important to be collecting these memories and these stories, and especially show how Mississauga has impacted me as a citizen of the country and Peel region in Canada, and why I chose Mississauga as my home in 1985, because we felt it was a close-knit community when we moved here, and we loved it, and we never wanted to move ever since we came back in 1992.
Actually, it was interesting that it may be the first time I stop, look back, and figure out how long was the journey. It just attracted my attention all of a sudden to many stops in the way, which I might say I almost forgot about it in the busy of the life. But when you stop and look thoroughly, you figure out lots of stops in the middle which got buried under the busy of the day and the challenges of the day as well. So yeah, it's great. I think it's very important to tell the story. It's part of the documentation, the processing of the contributions, the way, the journey. Maybe it's good for our kids. I think it's always good for the newcomers to hear those stories, because they know when they face any challenge, they know what others people's faced before, or learning something from somebody's journey, or even when he face some walls, they say, yeah, I hear that before. I think I hear that's a usual thing. Maybe somebody, I heard him speaking about that challenge before and how he handled it and how it ended up. So we have at least some idea or recommendation. What should we do? So it's a learning from like history repeating himself. And I'm saying, of course, everyone have his own story, but if you put those stories beside each other, you will see a pattern. Usually, for all immigrants, even more particularly for all immigrants who are in the same circumstances, from the same profession or from the same origin, usually will face almost very close challenges with lots of details in the middle, but the pattern stays still the same.
There are people out there that are willing to listen to the journey that I've been through, and that I can share my pathway with others, as well as provide others who could maybe be inspired by that story and share the same feelings and experiences that I did. It's a way of opening up to a whole other person and being a part of something bigger.
What it meant to me is just express my own individual experience, because I know everyone coming to Mississauga all has their own stories, their own unique experiences. So for me to share that is really nice, because then you can kind of record everyone's just unique experiences. I'm sure everyone has different experience coming to Mississauga. So yeah, that's what it meant to me. Just have everyone's own unique narrative. Because Mississauga and other places in Canada or in Ontario always have new immigrants coming in, and they're always gonna want to know what kind of diasporas live here or how people are liking it here. So I think that's just very important because I know when we came here, one of the places that drew us to Mississauga was the Polish people on our street. So that's why I think it's just very important to just kind of record, those unique stories, and because I know everyone's going to have their own experiences.
So first of all, the Mississauga Heritage Foundation have been a significant contributor to Mississauga culture development. Heritage Mississauga focus its work on researching and recording, celebrating heritage citywide. So I'm glad that we as a Ministry of Heritage, Sports, Tourism and Culture recognized your contribution, and through few streams of funding we gave grants to the association to be able to do its job, which we thought that it's valuable and it's important, and it preserves Mississauga heritage. It helped us to document lot of stories, lots of the heritage of Mississauga, which we would lose because people are getting old and people are leaving our world without having their story recorded somehow. So it's going to be forgotten. It's going to be unknown for the future generation. So I would like to thank you for all what you're doing, and continue doing a great job. Thank you. I understand the different aspects of heritage in your organization mandate and everything. And the good thing I like about the approach you're doing is you are collecting stories, maybe not old stories, not very old stories. It's like current time, few years back. Maybe it's still existing, it's still continuing. Some people of the people who witnessed that stories are still alive and still here, and they're telling the story. That's, for me, is not just history, actually. It have a very nice human element into it. It have some personalized touch from each one who is telling his story, because he's telling his story with his own passion, with his own feeling, with his own, like he lived it. He lived the story. It's different than history. Like, I'm coming from a country where, in Alexandria, where I grew up, a building aged like 250 years is not an old building. Like, old buildings start from like 400, 500 years kind of thing. So for me, talking about 20 years ago or 50 years ago or even 100 years ago is not really history. It's not really a monuments thing. It's not like our grandparents' stories, because my grandparents are 6,000 years old.
We hope that hearing these stories have inspired you to think of your own and to think about the people who live here, your neighbors, your friends, your family, and how Mississauga came to be one of the most diverse cities in North America. With these stories and yours, we hope to create commemorative content so that future generations can learn about the history of Mississauga.